my name is Mackenzie, and this is a follow-up, part 2 to last week's episode, where we coded the front end of a movie and TV show trailer site. So in this episode, we're going to continue upon that, and I'm going to show you how to make the site responsive. If you haven't already watched that episode, please pause this video, go check that out here, and then come back because we are going to be building on top of the code we already wrote last week. So if you didn't watch that already, you might be a little confused. But if you did watch that already, let's jump on the computer and get going. All right, so we are going to continue from where we left off in the previous video. So I have my movies and stuff directory open in Sublime Text. I'm using CodeKit to run a local server, and I have the index.html file open in Chrome. So what I want to do is, well, first off, there was a mistake I made in the previous video, and I want to fix that. Instead of doing several posts inside of a row, I accidentally copied the row itself multiple times. So what I'm going to do is quickly delete the multiple rows. That way everything's in the same row. And then do the same to the TV shows. All right, so we should be good. So the first thing I want to start with is the header. So if we go back to Chrome, I'm going to open up the inspector. This is what I work from 99% of the time when I am coding, especially when I'm doing the responsive stuff, because I can see what's happening. I can add styles within here and then apply that to the actual style sheet. So what I want to do is, first off, in the head section of the index.html file, we need to add a few lines. First off, we need to add a meta viewport tag. So I'm going to do meta, and let's say name equals viewport. And I'm going to do content equals width equals device dash width, comma, initial scale equals 1. What this will do is it will allow the media queries to be applied when it's opened up on a phone. Otherwise, if you opened it up on your phone and you didn't have that line, it would act as if you're on a desktop browser and you would have to zoom in and such. All right, so also I want to add jQuery. So I'm going to do jQuery CDN. I'm just going to grab it from the Google hosted version. Let's see, so I'm going to grab the script tag here and paste that in. We're going to need a little bit of JS to do the responsive navigation, and we'll need jQuery for that. So let's begin by above the nav with the ID of main nav. What I want to do is add an A tag. So I'm going to do A with the class of menu, and then I'm going to stub that out. And inside of here, since we already have Font Awesome set up, I'm going to do a icon for the menu bar. So let's do I class equals FA dash bars, I believe. If that's not correct, I'll look it up. And then close the I tag. So I'm going to save that. Let's go back to Chrome. So you can see it's showing up right here, which is great. So what I want to do is on desktop, so we're going to have 3 main breakpoints. We're going to have desktop, tablet, and mobile. So what I want to do is on desktop, I want to hide that menu bar icon and show the navigation. But on tablet and below, I want to show the menu bar icon but hide the navigation unless the menu bar is clicked. So to do that, let's open up the SCSS styles.css. Below the top header, I'm just going to add .menu, and I'm going to do a display of none. That way that icon goes away. And then let's go to the very bottom and write some media queries. So what I'm going to do is at media only screen and a max width of 768 pixels. So what this is going to do is it's only going to apply the styles that we write inside of here if the viewport is 768 pixels wide or below. So anything above will get what is above here, and then anything below 768 will get special styles applied to it. So first thing I want to do is for below 768, I want to grab the main nav and do a display of none. So what we're going to do is hide that main navigation. And then for the menu class, that A tag, I'm going to do a display of block, which is going to change it from display of none to display block. We're going to float it to the right, and I'm going to quickly add some styles for that I tag, aka the menu bar icon. So I'm going to do a font size of 1.5 em. Let's make the color that main variable, and then a padding top of 0.6 em. So let's save that, go back to Chrome. So since our viewport is above 768 pixels wide, the navigation is showing up. But when we go below it, the navigation is hidden and that icon shows up. Beautiful. That is exactly what we want. So now I'm going to set up a simple responsive navigation. Basically, what we're going to do is if we click on this menu icon, we're going to write some JS to add a special class to the main nav. And then if it has that class, we're going to style it in a certain way so that the navigation shows up below the header. So to do that, we need to create a new directory. So back in our movies and stuff directory, I'm going to create a new folder and call this JS. Then inside of here, let's create a new file, save this as main.js. So what I want to do in here, first, let's go back to the index file and link the main.js file. So I'm going to do script, and let's do source equals JS and main.js. That should be good. All right, now we are good to write our JavaScript. So I'm going to write this in a document.ready tag. Let's do function. So inside of here, what I want to do is we're going to target the menu class. Then we're going to do a .click function. So if that's clicked, we're going to do function e, and then we're going to do e.stop propagation. Then below here, let's select the main nav, and we'll do a toggle class of active. So what we are doing here is if the A tag with the menu class is clicked, it's going to add a class or remove a class to the main nav ID. So let's save that, test it out, make sure it's working. Whoops, missing a semicolon. There we go. Back in Chrome, we can see we have the nav ID main nav. Once we click on this, it should add a class of active to that. Beautiful. So nothing actually happens except it's added the class. So what we need to do is style that class. So let's go back to the SCSS, and I'm going to select the main nav, and I'm going to do main nav.active. So we're going to change this to display of block. Let's do a width of 100%. Then I need to target the A tags inside of the main nav. I'm going to do a display of block as well. That way they're all stacked upon each other. I'm going to give some padding of 1 em and 0. Let's do a border bottom of 1 pixel solid. And let's do hex code E9, 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 which is a light gray color. And also I'm going to remove the border from the very last one by doing and : last child, border bottom none. So I'll save that, go back to Chrome, and when I click on it, when the main nav has the active class, it will change the styles to make the navigation appear, which is exactly what we want. Perfect. Obviously, this is a very simple implementation of it. You can go a lot farther with it if you'd like, but for this demo, I'm going to keep it nice and simple. Beautiful. So the navigation is working as it should. I'm going to next move on to the banner. How I normally work is I go up top, I will select all of these styles related to whatever I'm working on, in this case the banner. So I'm going to go down, apply that into the media query, and then I delete everything I don't need. For example, these first 4. And then I change what I do need. So first off, the padding is a bit much. I'm going to try this at 3.5 em instead of 6 to reduce the height of the banner itself. This banner content wrapper has a max width of 90%, so it's already being applied at 90% at this media query. So I don't think I need to do much there. I'm going to delete that. So how I usually work is I work in the Chrome inspector. I style it directly in there, and then once I get it exactly how I want it, I apply or I copy over those styles to Sublime. So that's how I'm going to go about this. Let's see, let's go back into Chrome and select the poster. It seems a bit large. Let's try 250 pixels. So that looks a bit better. The play button seems a little large. Let's try a width of maybe 60 pixels, but now the positioning's off. So let's do margin of -30 and -30. There we go. That looks better. Then let's go to the content. That's where most of the issues are. So first off, the content has margin left of 100 pixels. Let's try reducing that quite a bit. Let's try 50 for now. I might change that in a bit. Let's see, the H2, it's a bit large. Let's try 1.5 M. That looks good. Then the ratings, let's see. Let's change the size of this from 1.35 M to just 1 M. That looks good. Now the description, let's see, font size seems a little large. Let's try 0.9 M. I think the line height's still okay. And then the description, I'm going to reduce that. It's already 0.8 M. I'm going to do 0.7 M. Let's reduce the margin top to 2 M. And I'm also going to reduce the spacing in between on the spans that we had from 0.5 to, let's try 0.25 to tighten it up a bit. There we go. That looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to go ahead and copy those over. On the poster, let's see, featured image, I didn't change, so I'll delete all that. The width, I changed to 250 pixels. It's still floating, still position relative, so I'm going to delete that. Delete the absolute. Let's see, the play button, I did a width of 60, and then both these were 30, -30, -30. Okay. Delete everything else. Now the content. So the content, let's change the margin left to 50 pixels, and then remove both those. The title, let's change it to 1.5. The ratings, we're going to keep inline. Let me remove the highlight color, change the font size of the icon itself. Beautiful. And then remove this one. We don't need it here. The description, I'm going to change the font size 0.9. Remove the colors and line height, not lime height. And I'm going to change the font size to 0.7. And then the span, I'm going to do 0.25 margin on either side. Oh, and also I'm going to change the margin top to 2M. And then remove the others. Beautiful. Now if we go back to Chrome, when it's above 768, it looks like that. When it gets below, it breaks to the new styles, which is perfect. So we'll probably need another breakpoint here, probably around 600 pixels. But for now, I am going to move on to the movies. So I'm going to do just like I did above. I'm going to go up top. Let's select all of this stuff. So the row, the top movies, top shows, etc. And then below the banner, inside of the media query, let's paste that in. All right, so I'm going to leave this stuff for now. I'm just going to comment that out. I'm going to focus on the row. So if I go into Chrome, see we have the header. Let's leave that for now. What I want to do is change the row. So instead of there being 6 small posters, I want 3 larger posters at the tablet size. So what I want to do is change it so that there are 3 on each row. So I'm thinking it can be almost double the size, maybe a bit more. So 31 is too much because it breaks. So let's try 30.6. 30.6 looks pretty good. I'm going to change the margin right to margin of 1.25%. Actually 1.25%, 2M, and 1.25%. That looks pretty good. So now there is 1.25% margin on left and right, 2M on the bottom to push down the row. and then 0 on the top. All right, I'm going to go ahead and change this. Let's change the width in Sublime to 30.6. Float, remove that. Margin, let's do margin 0, 1.25%, 2M, 1.25%. Beautiful. I don't think we need to change the image at all. The font, let's tweak the title and such a bit. I think the font size could be maybe 1M. That looks good. Then the post info, yeah, let's make it 0.65M. All right, so let's go back to Sublime, change that. The margin looks a little large. Let's try 0.5M. And then remove the color, change the post info from 0.75 to 0.65, and let's remove the margin and color. So that's looking pretty good to me, guys. Beautiful. So we still have quite a lot of space on top and bottom. So let's start styling the section IDs. So the top movies and top shows. Padding of 5M seems a little large. Let's try 3M. There we go. That looks much better. So let's select the header. So one thing I want to do, since we put a margin on the left and the right, it messes up the alignment of the title and the movie. So I'm going to try to put 1.25% on either side of padding so that they line up. Beautiful. Maybe we don't need it on the right. Let's try 0. Okay, so let's change the padding in Sublime. Cool. So we don't need this stuff. The font size, let's make it match above, and I'm going to do 1.5M. And then the view more, we have the 3.5% on the right. It's making it not line up as I want. So let's go back to Chrome. I'm going to play with that a bit. Yeah, let's change it from 3.5 to 2.25%. 2.25%. And then font size, let's keep it the same. Float, let's keep it the same. Beautiful. And I don't need this top movie stuff, so I'm going to remove that as well. All right, guys, this is looking good. So the next thing I want to do is style it for a viewport of 480 pixels. So 768 is for tablet, and let's do one for 480 on a mobile. So I'm going to copy this media query, go down to the bottom, paste that in and change it to 480 pixels. So the first thing we need to do, the header's good to go. The next thing I want to do is fix the banner. So let's go into Chrome and play around a bit. So let's go to 480 pixels. So what I'm thinking is, first off, let's change the banner content wrapper from display of flex to display of block. Poster will keep the width the same. I'm going to also apply a float of none to it. Let's do a display of block and a margin of 0 and auto. That way it centers. Let's make the content width of 100%. That way it does not break. Let's do a margin, remove the margin left. So we're going to do margin of 1M on top, auto, and 0 and off. That way it's width of 100%. It pushes off the poster a bit. So that looks pretty good. I think that's all we need, actually. So what I'm going to do is just copy that stuff over. Let's go to Sublime. Let's do banner content wrapper, and then we change this to display of block. Then we have the poster. Let's paste in those styles. Then we have the content. Let's paste that in. So width of 100%, margin of 1M auto, 0 auto, and save that, and we should be good on the banner. You know what? I might actually apply this a bit larger. Let's switch it over at, let's say 575 pixels instead of the 480. That way everything below 575 gets applied, so the mobile will still be good to go. Beautiful. All right, so next I want to change the movies. So let's go below the banner in Sublime. Instead of what we did above, in fact, I'm just going to copy what we did above, paste that in. So instead of a width of 30%, what I want to do is match the width of the poster above of the 250 pixels. Let's do a margin of 0, auto, 2M on bottom, and auto. That way it centers. And we can keep the title and the post info size the same. Let's try that. Save it, go back to Chrome. All right, so that's looking good. Let's inspect the element, see why it's not centering. Okay, so we need to do a display of block, I believe. Okay. Let's go back to Sublime. We need to do a float of none because currently it's floated to the left. Perfect. That way they're all stacked one on top of each other. And then the popular movies, let's push down the header or the first poster a bit. So I'm going to select the header and I'm just going to do a margin bottom of 2M. That looks pretty good. So back in Sublime, let's do top movies, top shows, and I'm going to do the header. Let's do margin bottom of 2M. Beautiful. All right, so that's almost good to go. I can tell one thing, the newsletter is breaking, and I think I know why. If we go in and inspect the source, so the newsletter, let's open up newsletter inner. So that has a width of 600 pixels. So if I do a max width on here of, 95% or 90%, that fixes it breaking the layout. Cool. So pretty much all we need to do now is fix the newsletter. So back in Sublime, I'm going to do target the newsletter. First off, let's change the padding. Currently, let's see, there's 5M. Let's change it to 3M just like before and 0. I'm going to do the class of newsletter inner. Let's set it a max width. Actually, you know what? The max width of 90% should be on the main one. So let's go up top, find the newsletter inner. So I'm going to add it below the width, max width of 90%. That way we don't need it down here. All right, so let's remove that. The title seems a bit large, so I'm going to change that. See, font size 1.75, 1.5 might be good, maybe even a bit smaller. Yeah, I'm going to try H2 back in Sublime, H2 font size 1.35M. Color will keep the same. Then the sign up form. Let's see. So if we go back to Chrome, we have margin top of 3M. Let's try 2M to reduce the height a bit. Let's also stack the inputs. How about that? So I'm going to do a width of 100%, margin of 0, 0, 1M on bottom and 0. Actually, 100% seems a bit large. So let's try 90%. That's better. Button looks good. Lower the margin top to 2M to match. That looks pretty good. I think that should be all we really need to do. So back in Sublime, let's do margin top of 2M. Then we need to select the input type equals text and the input type equals email. We did a width of 90% on that. Margin of 0, 0, 1M on bottom and 0 on the left. And then let's see, let's do the dot button. And all we need to do is change the margin top from 3M to 2M. All right, I think we are about done, guys. So we have, if we go back to Chrome, we have this responsive navigation. Oh, you know what? One thing I did forget is if you click outside of here, nothing happens. So if you open up this, I want it to be to where you click it and it removes the active class. So last thing, let's go back to the main.js. And to do that, we need to do a document .click, and let's do a function and make sure to add the semicolon. So just like before, we're going to target the main nav, and instead of a toggle class, let's do a remove class. So, getting an error. Let's see, line. Oh, there we go. Okay, so just remove that curly brace. Now back in Chrome, if you click on it, if you click anywhere outside of the header, it will close that, aka remove that class, which is perfect. All right, guys, I think we are done. So everything stacks as it should. As you scale it down, it will break at the various sizes. So I think we are good. Let's test one last thing. Let's go to Chrome, and if you click this little device icon, click that, you can select different devices to test it on. So if I do iPhone 6 Plus and refresh it, this is how it would look on an iPhone 6, which is pretty decent. Beautiful. So iPhone 5, it should still work great. Awesome. All right, guys, I think we are done. All right, that's all for this one. I really hope you enjoyed this episode and learned a lot from it. If you did, give me a thumbs up below, and be sure to subscribe for more. And if you want to pick up the source files from this episode, I'll add a link to it in the description. So definitely go check that out. And be sure to join me next week when I do another UI design. See you guys.